Hello, this is Ashee from Crafting with Ashee and welcome to this video. Thank you for joining me today. This is the project I have to share with you. It's this lovely little box. It's a great size, and the best thing about this is it will fold flat for storage. So when you want to store it, you can just fold it flat, easy storage, and then put it back together whenever you want. Just like that. Really easy. So I have, this one was done with Night of Navy cardstock, and this paper was the Countryside In. Doing a different colourway this time, we've got Tahitian Tide, and I've got a piece here that measures 10 inches by 8 inches, and I've made myself a template. Now this template will be on the blog post, and you can find the link to that in the description box below, and it will give you all the measurements for making the box, including the designer series paper. So I'm not going to go through them in detail here. So on this long side, I am going to score at 1 3/4 inches. Make sure I don't jump the track. 1 3/4 inches, and then 4 3/4 inches, 6 1/2 inches, and 9 1/2 inches. Okay. And then I'm going to turn it to the short side, and I'm going to score at 1/2 inch, 2 1/4 inches, 5 3/4 inches, and 7 1/2 inches. Okay, and that's all the scoring we're going to do. So let's move this out the way. And now we are going to fold on all of our score lines, so let's do that. This is when a bone folder, a good bone folder, is invaluable. So there's this last one here, and let's do this side. And make sure you get them all. Okay. Fine. All folded and burnished, as we call it. So I'm going to put it in this way, with this in horizontal mode, with this 1/2 inch tab to the left hand side, and then you can see here how our template just fits over it. And if you're unsure where to cut and what to do, make yourself a template like this first, and then this is what you do. And now you'll know exactly where you've got to cut. Okay, just draw that on top, and now you can follow the marks you've made. So we're going to cut up to the score line, so on the 1/2 inch side here, what was on the left, up to the score line, and we're going to cut out this little tab here, like that little piece there, and we're going to cut this piece that's left at a slight angle just to mitre it, and we could do the same on the other side. So you're just left with that. You get rid of those two pieces. So now, according to my template, we can get rid of this piece down here. Totally out. I've obviously not cut it. There we go. And I'm just going to cut along the score line up to the second score line here. Okay. Now these two tabs, as you saw, we're going to cut about 1/3 off, and then we are going to cut an angle Now these are going to be hidden and glued, so you won't even see any pencil marks, but you can just rub those out if you want. So now you see what we've got left. I'm going to turn to the other side. Okay, so on this side, firstly we're going to cut along the score line up to the second score line, and I'm just going to do that all the way along. Now this big piece here that we marked, I'm going to get rid of that. And then these two small tabs here, I'm going to do the same as before. Take off about a third. Doesn't have to be exact. And then give yourself a little angle cut. But I would suggest that you go to my website. If you search for fold flat box, rectangle box, it'll come up. It'll be the first one that's going to come up, but I've just made the project. And take a screenshot of the template and make your template before you make your box, and it will be much easier. So there we've got our box and our template, pretty much the same as you can see here. Not too bad. I think I'm going to take off just a little bit more here of this one. No real big deal, no reason why, it just felt like it. So that's our template, so I'm going to put that there for now. Now these two big pieces, we want to round the corners, so I'm going to bring in my corner rounder and I'm just going to round the corners here. And I'm just going to make sure I can get paper properly in around those corners. There we go. Sorry for the echo. I just want to get that in properly and round it. And make sure we've got this in as well. Around the corners, and the reason we round the corners, it really does help to fit your box together more easily and for it to tuck in nicely. I can see here it didn't cut very straight, so cut that little piece off. Okay, so time to put down our designer series paper. This time I'm going to be using the Zoo Crew designer series paper, and you can see here that I'm just going to make sure I have my pieces in the right place. There we go, and now we're just going to stick down our paper. So let's get some Tombow into this. And this paper does have these critters on the other side, but I've actually tended to use just the B sides of this paper, which have been very useful because there's Zoo Crew, the B sides are just black and white prints, which are very useful for backgrounds of different things. So there we go. I have made a square version of this box, and I will link to that here at the end of this video for you to see. And there's also a fold flat bag that I've made, and I'll link to that as well, so you can have your choice of whatever packaging you like. There is a square box, a rectangle box, and a bag, so it gives you some options, and all fold nicely flat for storage. So that's really useful because all of us excuse me, crafters especially, are always struggling with storage and running out of space. So Something that takes up a little space, a little less space, is always useful. Now, on this little tab here, and I'll just bring it in, I'm going to put glue, and this is the only place on the whole box you're going to glue down. So, put this over to meet, give it a good press down. The more you press it, the more the glue's going to take. Always a good thing. Okay, so now we fold in our sides, and we're going to fold in our, there we go. Do the same here. Fold that in, and this is where rounding the edges is so useful. You can decide which way you want to be, top or bottom. I think I'm going to have that as my top. Isn't that cute? Lovely. Set that aside. I'm going to do a little bit of stamping, and I'm going to stamp happy birthday, but last time I used Night of Navy, but actually I think I'm going to change it this time and use the same colour as my base, Tahitian Tide. So let's get some of that going. Give it a good ink up, and then just down. There we go, happy birthday. That's lovely. And I'm going to cut it out using the deckled rectangle dies. And I can't remember which die I used. I think I used the second smallest, and then I used the third smallest to cut out a spare piece like that. So I'm going to put that through the die cutting machine, and I will be back. Okay, so the sun's come out, but I've only got a little bit to do, so I'm not going to close the curtains just now. I'm going to stick my sentiment down to its matte piece here that we cut out of Tahitian Tide cardstock. There we go, and then I'm going to pop this up with some dimensionals. So I'm going to use some of my edges I've got left here. Okay, and finished those up. Always satisfying to finish up a sheet. I'm just going to take the backings off. And I'll just take my grid paper with the backings and straight into the bin, so it can't migrate anywhere. And we're going to put this on top. Isn't that cute? And then I have some of this black and white gingham ribbon. We're just going to try and tie a little bow. Last time we used the boho blue ribbon, but this time I think I'm going to use some of this one because I like the way it matches the designer series paper. Okay, I'm going to stick this down with some glue dots, so let's get those on. Like that. Okay, and then some finishing touches. I think I'm going to use this time. Last time I used these, the in colour dots. This time I think I'm going to use a rhinestone. So, haven't used a rhinestone for ages actually. Very unlike me. This one doesn't want to come, but it's going to. And there we go. Isn't that lovely? Oh, I like that a lot. Okay, so there you have your two boxes. Tahitian Tide, Night of Navy. You can tell me which you prefer. I hope you enjoyed the project. If you did, as I said, all the measurements and information on the blog post on my website, and you can find those links, including my social media links, in the description box below. So thank you again, and until next time, enjoy being creative. Bye.